Hi, everyone. My name is Michael McGreevey, and I'm part of the Conservation Finance team with the Blue Nature Alliance. In this video, I'm going to walk you through an overview of the financing challenges facing marine protected areas and the factors for success that the Blue Nature Alliance has identified for MPAs to obtain the funding they need to meet their conservation goals. Let's start by taking a look at the global picture of marine protected area coverage. By some measures, about 7% of the ocean is fully or highly protected, and if you include areas that are less protected or that are proposed, you might get to about 13%. Now, there are different ways to calculate those numbers, but the main message here is that we're a long way from 30%. As we work toward the Global Biodiversity Framework goals of 30 by 30, there's going to be a need for a lot more marine conservation finance. When we think about what makes MPAs successful, they have a lot of success factors in common with terrestrial protected areas. Success depends on the ecological aspects of the design and protection of the protected area, on collaborative engagement with key stakeholders like Indigenous peoples and local communities, and on building and maintaining strong governance and strong institutions. But foundational to all of that is the need to secure diverse sources of financing so that marine conservation areas have the resources they need for protection and management long into the future. We know intuitively how important an MPA's budget and financial picture is, and this analysis emphasizes that point. According to one study, staff capacity and budget capacity were the two single most important management factors for protected area success. And we all know that those two issues are intertwined because you can't have adequate staff if you don't have the funding that you need. It's also worth noting that only about 35% of marine protected areas report having sufficient budget to manage their areas, and that's across the whole world. If we were to look only at the developing world, we would expect that number to be quite a bit lower. Finally, I want to mention that in spite of the importance of budget capacity to MPA success, very, very few protected areas have any kind of financial plan or strategy, which we'll talk about in the next slide. So on that point, some studies have found that as few as 25% of MPAs report having a detailed financial plan that spells out the needs for management of the area. So clearly, this is an area where there hasn't been enough attention and there's a need for a lot more capacity building. We're not going to go into detail on financial and business planning in this toolkit, but it is important to know that financial and business planning is a very, very useful tool that we've seen used across the globe to match the financial needs of protected areas with potential revenue sources, while accounting for the different characteristics of those revenue sources, such as the timeline of when they might be available and how sustainable and reliable they are, as well as other factors. This has become more and more important as we see new management approaches to protected areas and conservation, where protected areas might have more flexibility to raise revenue from various sources. So it's an important concept, and there's a lot written about the topic that's available online.